I can't believe it's not just the moonglow fireflies. Even cats can get eaten. Yerva. Make sure you keep a close eye on Pavlov the next time you take him for a walk.
Don't worry so much. Pavlov's a lot bigger than a cat. Besides, they're just plants. What's the worst they could do?
I remember a certain fresh-faced adventurer saying something similar, right before coming face-to-face with a hexadecatonic mandragora.
Hexadecatonic mandragora. Awesome!
Oh. What are you all hollering about, huh? I heard the commotion from miles away. Is this some sort of class?
Yep, it sure is. Linnea's telling us all about her recent findings.
Of course. Please take a seat. Since we're on the subject of hexadecatonic mandragoras, there's another notable variety of plant that can be found near Void Sea Outlook.
You must mean Winter Ice Leia.
Spot on! I'm talking about Winter Icely.
Hey, Yerva, that's cheating. Linnea didn't even finish asking.
Sorry, I got carried away and jumped the gun. Don't worry, there'll be plenty more questions to answer. Right, Linnea?
Enough for everyone! Get your answers at the ready, and you'll all have the chance to earn yourselves a sugar sculpture.
Ooh, a sweet, sweet sugary reward! Come on, Traveler. This is our time to shine.
Don't worry, I'll let you in on a secret. Katya's prepared enough sugar sculptures for everyone.
Oh, in that case, we'll have to show them just how smart we are.
Right, back to the topic at hand. There's actually an interesting story about Winter Icely. Legend has it that this plant held a deep connection to the King of Winter Icely. Now, the King of Winter Icely had a brother, whose own symbolic plant is something you should all be very familiar with. Can anyone tell me what it is? Correct! The answer is midsummer berries.
Midsummer berries? All I know is Katya and Aino both make delicious midsummer tort.
Midsummer berries are the symbol of the King of Midsummer Oak, brother to the King of Winter Icely. Legend has it that these two twins have been fighting since birth. They each take turns killing the other, only to be resurrected once more. Each rules their own season, with this cycle of death and rebirth continuing until the end of time.
That's so sad. Despite being connected by blood. Katya once told me good relationships have nothing to do with blood. Sometimes it's precisely those connections that cause conflict to arise.
How very perceptive of you. You're right, of course. That's exactly what the scholars of Snezhnaya think the story represents. What's more, due to Winter Icely's hardiness and resistance to the cold, it's also considered to be a symbol of the Light Keepers.
The leaves will keep their promise. Paimon's heard that saying before.
It's a very old saying, and hardly anyone still uses it nowadays. I'm surprised you're even aware of it.
We're seasoned adventurers, which means we're... What was it again? Oh yeah, well-traveled and well-read.
The Light Keepers. They're the ones who dress in black, right? Are they also hardy and resistant to the cold? But their clothes look so warm. If they really are so resistant, couldn't they wear a bit less? You've got it all muddled up. What Linnea means is that, just like Winter Icely, the Light Keepers stand tall in the face of hardships as fierce as the icy wind.
Wonderful! Your interpretation is spot on. But let me ask, how did you arrive at that understanding?
Helga sent me a handbook, all the way from Fontaine. She told me about the language of flowers. Now all the flowers of Fontaine have their own secret meanings. I think if Winter Icely has a meaning, it must be something like unbending. Or maybe the courage to persevere until the end.
Well, someone's clearly learning to draw inferences. Well done! And Miko, you may have approached it from a very different angle, but your sense of logic is certainly interesting. Let's see if you two can answer this next one.
Ask away! No question's too hard for the traveler.
Such confidence! In that case, I'll ask you one of my hardest. Why do nocturnal blossoms come in both red and blue? That's certainly a novel answer. But unfortunately, no. That's incorrect.
Alright, so what's the answer? Nocturnal blossoms aren't the only things we've seen in Notcry that are red and blue. Come to think of it, we've seen red and blue stuff all over the place. If you're asking about the one thing that stands out most about Notcry... Hey! Stop trying to explain everything away with the power of Kuvaki. There's no way the answer's gonna be as obvious as that.
You're correct!
What? Seriously?
It's common knowledge for those of us who live in Notcry, but not so much for adventurers visiting from afar. So, in context, I suppose it could be considered a tricky problem? But you weren't fooled by the question at all. It looks like you're on the path to becoming a real stellar adventurer. All right, that's it for today. All the students who answered a question can have a sugar sculpture!
Huh? Wait a second! Don't tell Paimon that she's the only one who doesn't get any candy! If Paimon had known, she'd have answered more questions! Even if she'd have probably gotten them all wrong.
Don't worry, don't worry. You'll get yours too. You and the Traveler are a team, just like Lumi and me.
Well, Miss Linnea really is the best teacher ever!
There's another legend that claims the opposing colors of the nocturnal blossom represent two sisters from the Frost Moon Scions.
Do they kill each other too? I noticed that lots of stories have siblings who end up killing each other. What's up with that? We're not like that in the Conch Gang. Hey! Let Linnea finish the story, will you? I bet the sisters make up in the end. Right? Otherwise, why would people use the nocturnal blossom with its two flowers joined together to represent them? I hope they make up in the end.
Linnea's always dashing off to here, there, and everywhere. But she still makes time to share her knowledge with us. I've learned a lot from her, and I'm grateful for that.
Wow! Speranza's busy today. What's everyone chatting about?
We're trying to decide what the most beautiful rock in Nodcry is. My vote goes to Moonfall Silver.
Since Aoni's not here, I'll go for Icy Pebbles on her behalf.
Then I nominate Rainbow Drop Crystals. They come in loads of colors, and you can even make weapons with them. They're way more useful than Moonfall Silver and Icy Pebbles. Well, I don't think a rock that just looks good but doesn't do anything can really be considered beautiful.
Actually, Moonfall Silver has quite a few uses too. Although they're certainly not as common in daily life as those of Rainbow Drop Crystals. As it happens, during my investigation, I came across some interesting stories about clothes woven from Moonfall Silver.
Huh? No way. You can weave clothes out of rocks?
So you find it hard to believe too? Well then, you'd best sit up straight and listen close.
silver? Oh, Paimon's super curious too. Come on, Traveler. Let's stick around to hear this.
Once upon a time, there was a Fey governor in Nodcry who was obsessed with rare trinkets and had a passion for dressing up. This governor's advisors worked day and night, desperately struggling to find new and exotic clothes for their master. Then one day, a young tailor dressed in black came calling. He claimed to have inherited the mysterious techniques of the Golden Realm, and that he could spin crystals that glow like the silver moon into thread for weaving clothes. The governor was overjoyed. He promised to pay the young man handsomely if he would stay and make him clothes. The young tailor requested a vast quantity of moonfall silver be delivered to his workshop, and demanded that no one disturb him while he worked. Naturally, the governor agreed. When the scheduled time arrived, the governor found the workshop completely empty, with neither moonfall silver nor any clothing to be seen. Having eagerly anticipated his new clothes, he hurriedly asked, "Where did all the moonfall silver go? And where are the clothes you promised?" The young tailor raised his hands, and, as if he were shaking out a piece of fabric, said, "See? I took the moonfall silver you sent me and wove it into this gown, as pure as moonlight itself. Too pure, in fact, for a fool or an unremarkable man to even perceive." The governor asked his advisor how the gown appeared to him, to which the advisor responded by saying it was the most magnificent gown he had ever seen, just like real moonlight woven and given form. The governor could not see a thing, but unwilling to admit he was either a fool or unremarkable, he did as the tailor bade and put on the moonlight gown. To show off his extraordinary new gown, the governor decided to parade it and himself along the busiest street in town. But as he did so, he heard a child with a conscience belt shout out,
The governor isn't wearing any clothes!
"It seems like our Miko has guessed how this story ends."
The tailor was a cheat. There are people like that in Nasha Town, too. I heard about this one lady from Sumeru who schemed a whole bunch of folks.
Good question. According to the story, the young tailor was none other than Reed Miller in disguise. He traded the moonfall silver he took from the governor for Mora and gave it to the poor townsfolk. While the governor was parading himself through town, Reed Miller was enjoying the show from a nearby rooftop.
He really got around, huh? I've already lost count of the number of stories he's popped up in.
But if he was lying about the whole thing, then doesn't that mean there were never any clothes made from moonfall silver to begin with?
I believe there were, but the art of weaving them has been lost. But the only evidence now surviving in folk stories. The tale of the fisherman and the beast also mentions a moonlight gown. But Nico and Maisie are still too young for that one, so I'm afraid it'll have to wait.
Huh? No fair.
You sure know a lot of weird and wonderful stories, Miss Linnea.
Indeed! I'm sure you've noticed by now. The world is so vast, with so many secrets yet to discover. Even the things we think we know may well have unfamiliar backstories, like moonfall silver. The same goes for rainbow drop crystals, in fact. Each region of Tevat has its own unique minerals, and just like people from different nations have different customs, rocks from different places have their own distinct characteristics too. If you have the patience to listen, you may discover that even silent crystals begin to talk, sharing the stories they have etched into their memories. And not just minerals, life forms, both ancient and new, are beautiful and unique. This world is filled with stories and mysteries of all shapes and sizes. In the instant when a mystery is touched by the light of understanding, countless new possibilities reveal themselves, and the whole world opens up! Sorry, I'm getting a little carried away.
Linnea gets like this when she's talking about things she's interested in. If we ask Miss Linnea what the most beautiful rock in Nagcry is, she's certain to say, "Every rock is beautiful in its own way."
So it's probably better if we ask you two to cast your votes.
The most beautiful rock. What do you think, Traveler? Well, Paimon guesses it does look a bit like a rock. And it sure is pretty.
What about you, Linnea? If you had to choose only one rock that was the most beautiful,
How about we end today's lecture here?
whoa. Miss Linnea is trying to dodge the question.
Why don't we invite the Adventurers Guild to host a geological beauty pageant in Nasha Town?
If that happens, we'll need to find a way to ban Dorota from attending.
Yeah. If she's there, she'll do whatever it takes to make Moonfall Silver win. But you can't just ban people from taking part. Of course you'd say that. You're on Team Moonfall Silver.
When it comes to local delicacies and Pyramida, nobody knows more than me.
As shiny as Mora, the Golden Loach King of the Lochi world.
And did Paimon just hear someone say something about gold?
You sure did! I discovered this uniquely colored golden loach while exploring up north. It was the only one in the area with such a distinctive color. It's thriving now, and I've had a doctor who knows about animals take a look. The color doesn't seem to be caused by anything pathological.
Then why does it look so different?
It could be any number of things. Habitat, environment, the characteristics of the water it lives in, climate, even its diet. But if you're asking me to pin it down to one specific reason, I'm afraid I just don't know. Why would it? It's such a rare phenomenon, I'm incredibly lucky just to have witnessed it. Being able to document my discovery, draw inferences, and make conjectures is more than enough for me.
It's just like a pink frostfin whale. They say, if you get the chance to see a pink frostfin whale, your wishes will come true. But they're super duper rare. Even so, we saw one once, when we were with Linnea. I think it was because she brought us good luck.
Wow! We should go look for one too! Oh, Paimon has so many wishes. Which one should the whale grant first?
It's probably just wishful thinking.
So, pink whales don't have mystical powers?
Well, there are some examples of some creatures with special colors possessing unique abilities. But the frostfin whale we saw probably wasn't one of them. If people were just making wishes, that would be one thing. I'm just worried someone might hurt it because they believe those fanciful stories.
Huh? Would people really do that?
I know this one. Katya told me that some really nasty treasure hunters hunt animals with unusual colors to sell them to collectors.
That's right. There was a time when animals from Natland were highly prized on the black market. Live specimens in particular. But bones and furs would also fetch a high price. Some merchants looking to sell their smuggled goods at inflated prices would even go so far as to process and alter them, packaging them as some kind of fantasy product before selling them to customers. There was a case I heard where poachers removed the feet from cuckoosaurs to make them more aesthetically pleasing and easier to transport. Collectors who'd never seen a Cuckoosaurus before actually thought they were naturally legless, spending their entire lives soaring through the sky, living off wind and dew, like some kind of marvel of nature. Their reckless pursuit of the exotic only fueled the poachers' wickedness. They created a whole smuggling network born from greed and deceit, causing untold harm and suffering.
Yahoo!
In a sea of evil deeds, even a relatively minor act, such as dyeing a creature to change its color, is still wrong.
So, should we give that silver capybara a bath? Was it also dyed this color by nasty poachers?
I don't think that'll be necessary. When I found it, it was taking a soak in a hilly churl's cooking pot. Maybe it thought it was a hot spring? There can't be that many born with fur like that. It's probably why the smugglers took it.
I can totally imagine what it must have looked like in that cooking pot.
Right? Despite its unique color, it still has the same nature and temperament as other capybaras.
Come to think of it, we caught a white weasel thief once before, too.
The Mora thief! What happened to it in the end?
We let it go. Hopefully it's learned its lesson and won't go near any more Fatui research facilities. Unlike our capybara friend, its change in color must be an acquired trait. Perhaps a result of being exposed to such high concentrations of Kuvaki.
That makes sense. When Paimon thinks about it like that, it seems being unique isn't always a good thing. Just thinking about how some creatures might suffer because they're different, or that the only reason they're different is that something bad happened to make them that way.
It might sound a little selfish, but if Lumi wasn't such a special little Jack Frost, we might never have become partners to begin with.
Yahoo! Yahoo!
So, it's not always a bad thing either?
If being different brought the two of you together, then of course it's a good thing.
I remember Helka mentioning a saying from Liyue in one of her letters. Something about blessings and misfortune.
Every misfortune conceals a blessing, and every blessing hides misfortune.
That's the one. By the way, Miss Linnea, you're being awfully quiet. Where's all that teacher energy gone?
I never thought I'd see the day when you'd be calling me out, Nico.
Well, you were once part of the Conch King too, Miss Linnea. Anyway, why don't we just drop all this deep stuff for today? And you can tell us about the Volkodlok. Are they really that strong? How do they compare to Snegovic and Leshy?
There are many fascinating stories about the Volkodlok that I could tell you. But they'll have to wait for next time.
Ugh, not next time again. All right, but you'd better remember,